Hey, what's going on, people? It's your boy Rosie here, and I've got a treat for you this week. We are going to break down what I think are the top 10 best sitcoms, or live action comedies, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, so what are the keys to a good sitcom, in my opinion? Well, a big part of it is the casting. You need to have perfect characters, and perfect actors playing them. And a lot of these shows executed that very, very well. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much for you, but yeah, that's a big part of it. So, yeah, that casting's key, and just them and these actors having passion for the show. I found that's also pretty key because not only does that make their delivery better, it gives them a better understanding of the character, and also makes it less likely that they'll leave somewhere along the line. Like some of the shows that are a bit lower on the list had an issue where they had some people leave, and the show got immediately worse. And that wasn't always due to a lack of passion, but nevertheless, that always hurts. See, another thing you need is good jokes. Like hands down, you need to have good, relatable humor. Because why are you gonna watch a sitcom? That's what you watch for. You want to laugh. And a lot of the shows that just didn't make this cut on the list are shows that just don't make me laugh. Like since it's not in the list, I'll tell you I've been watching Cheers, and it's not a bad show, but it just does not make me laugh like the shows on this list do. Just do not find the jokes that funny. Yeah, and there have been shows that I've stopped watching because they just don't make me laugh, like, Frasier. I just don't like Frasier that much. Yeah, sorry anyone that does, but that show does not make me laugh. See? And there's a key decision that you have to make early on when you're writing a sitcom. Are there going to be drama elements? When you look at sitcom archetypes, you see that there's yeah, I'd say most of them lean on that there are some drama elements. There's usually some sort of romance, something that yeah, makes the audience invest emotionally in the show. Where there are some shows that don't do that. There's some comedies where like, nope, no drama elements. There's no emotional investment on the audience's part whatsoever, and that works fine. And I'd say that's actually harder to execute because people like a bit of drama and they root for a romance more than they're willing to admit. So yeah, those are my thoughts on what you need to make a good sitcom. So yeah, now let's break down the list. Number 10 is the Goldbergs. So the thing that makes this show funny is the relatability of the family. You can think of a time that your parent or guardian was like the dad Murray or the mom Beverly. Really, she's the best character right there, Beverly, the helicopter mom. Yeah, I can certainly recall times that my mom was like Beverly, and that made it funny for me to watch. Yes, the relatability of those moments. Yeah, yeah, it's funny in retrospect. Yeah, so yeah, funny show, good jokes, good support cast, and yeah, the thing that was ultimately the demise of this at the end was it got repetitive after a while. It became that every episode was one of the family members being selfish and then apologizing at the end. Yeah, it's this endless cycle of, "Oh, I was an asshole. I'm sorry. You're always an asshole. It's okay. Come here, assy. I forgive you." Like it's like it got tiresome, and they tried to milk it so much in every episode's finale. It was yeah, it got old. It got old. Needed to be more about the jokes. You know, yeah, and really the show in its entirety should have ended sooner than it did. They should have just wrapped it up when Adam graduated high school. That's really when what we cared about ended. And beyond that, you could tell they were running out of ideas. The jokes weren't as good. Adam wasn't a kid anymore, so you lost the kid jokes. And yeah, lost some key characters along the line. Yeah, unfortunately, George Sagal, the guy that played Pops, who was one of my favorite characters, he unfortunately passed away. But yeah, yeah, good show. It definitely made me laugh every episode, so it's number 10 on my list. Number 9 is Community. I found this show hilarious for a while. Yeah, and it was fun to imagine too. Like a lot of the schemes they came up with, like the paintball games. That was the first one that comes to mind for me. Like imagine being on your college campus and playing a mass game of paintball all around your freaking campus. That'd be so much fun. It's a fun thing to imagine. There was the blanket fort too. Yeah, imagine having like in your dorms, like you've somehow constructed this mass little kids blanket fort. That'd be so much fun. Yeah, and there's certainly some activities you could get up to in there. It'd be kind of fun. Yeah, yeah, I might consider that. Yeah, see, yeah, good jokes, good characters. That and something that hadn't really been done before, like a show on a college campus and a community college campus, so you can stagger the ages. Yeah, that made it work. You got some good actors in there. Joe McHale, of course, is Jeff. He was the slinger, Jeff the winger. Yeah, that was he was Sly right there. Danny Pudi, of course, legendary character, is Abed right there. Yeah, he's really what carried it at a certain point. Is when they started losing cast members. Really, Danny Pudi as Abed was what carried the show. Is that there were jokes they could come up with for that character. See, Allison Brie and Jillian Jacobs. Yeah, good actresses. Both very pretty in Rosie's opinion. Yeah, yeah, and they were funny too. They had college girl moments and played them well. Right. Donald Glover in there. Yeah, that didn't he leave? He went to sail with the Star Trek guy. Yeah, he wasn't my favorite character, but nevertheless well played by Donald. Yeah, Chevy Chase was that's right. He was the old terrible person. Yeah, eventually they just leaned into, yeah, like, yeah, this guy is not morally sound. Like this is a bad guy. They sort of went with it. Yeah, Yvette Nicole Brown. Yeah, I used to watch Drake and Josh when I was a kid. She was fantastic in that, fantastic in this as well. Yeah, good actors, good characters. But the thing with this show, and really, there's a lot of there not a lot. There's two Dan Harmon shows that I'd say this about is when he just kind of runs out of ideas, his humor crashes and burns so freaking bad, worse than the Jaws sequels. Yeah, it's like let's see, it was for Community, it was the last 2 seasons. Like, you could tell he was just done. He ran out of jokes. The cast was leaving. So yeah, you can attribute some of it to losing some of that core cast, but it was the jokes, man. It really was just the jokes that like he ran dry. You could tell he just ran out of ideas for what he was doing, and it was not funny. It was sad to watch. And the other show that comes to mind of Dan Harmon's is Rick and Morty, where that really seems to have just crashed and freaking burned real bad. Like the first 4 seasons of that are legendary humor. Really it's the first 3 seasons, but 4 was meh. It was I'd say it's my least favorite of the first 4, but still like laugh out loud funny moments throughout there. But yeah, those first few seasons of Rick and Morty are legendary. Like every episode filled with laugh out loud funny. But then season 5 hits and you're like, what the frick happened? Like it's just not funny anymore. It's like they even stopped trying to, which is just sad to me. They try to lean into the canon, getting you interested in the lore and the characters, but it it doesn't work. It needs to be funny. Yeah, and Krabopolis, the latest show, honestly, it just doesn't make me laugh. It's fine to have on in the background while I have my lunch, but it just doesn't make me laugh. I'm sorry, Dan Harmon, but yeah, you're a hilarious man. You have some great ideas, but you run out of them eventually. Number 8 is New Girl. So with this show, I was very impressed that they executed the Friends model without it feeling like a knockoff. And that's largely because the characters were original, yet still believable and still funny. Like take Schmidt for instance. If I asked you which of the friends is Schmidt, do you have an answer? Not really. Like that's the originality right there. Is like it's the Friends model, but the characters are they don't remind you so much of the Friends, and it's still funny, and it's new jokes, makes it so you can do new humor with it. Yeah, good support cast there. Of course, Zoe Deschanel, fantastic actress right there, and that character, Jessica Day, that was she's a funny character because you know someone like that, the girl, the wholesome girl who is attractive, but yeah, maybe that's not one of her major personality traits, has that lovability to her. Like it's funny. It was funny to see. Yeah, got yeah, and going into their second episode, the guy coach Damon Damon Wayans Jr. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, so he had to leave the show because he was doing some other show and the scheduling didn't work out. So going into their second episode, they had to replace him with Winston. He's played by Lamorne Morris, and yeah, he that must have really like sucked for the whole crew. But I mean, thanks to Lamorne, it worked out because he played Winston well. And that was a well executed character. The guy that's can come across as dumb isn't necessarily dumb, but like he I don't want to say inconsiderate, but it's like that. Like here he's things just he doesn't mean to come across as not nice. It's just he's a little slow. Yeah, it takes him a little bit to catch on, and it's funny. It's funny to see because someone like that. Yeah, so little bit of criticism for this show. I think they ended the joke with Schmidt and Cece doing that secret romance a bit too soon. I think there was some more jokes they could have done with that. Like you attribute it to again with Friends with Monica and Chandler. That was hilarious. I watched clips of each character finding out about their romance, so like an embarrassing amount. I find that so funny because they all do exactly what they don't want. Start screaming, they have a secret. As it's good. So there were yeah, I feel that ended too soon, and I hated their wedding. I the whole thing is Schmidt tries to be romantic by going and fetching Cece's mom for the wedding, and he gets stuck on a plane, and he's not there for their wedding. But they solve the problem by having him there over video call and having him celebrate with the people on the plane. Like that sucks. And it's not believable. If you were in that situation, you're not thinking, "Oh, I'll make the best of this like this," and at least you don't believe it. Like that sucks. You're not at your wedding. Like you can't just pretend that doesn't suck because we can't believe that. Like it's just not funny. And you were rooting for that romance the whole show. Like come on, like whoever wrote that really come on. That sucks. Terrible right there. Boo. But nevertheless, New Girl is a great show. Yeah, number 8 on my list. Number 7 is Modern Family. So early on in this show, there are some legendary jokes. Like off the top of my head, Mitchell in the Spider-Man outfit. It's one of my favorite episodes of trying to sneak through his office and getting his pants caught in the toilet when he finally has his out. That was yeah, I love that episode. Yeah, so yeah, again, great characters, well cast. The best overall character probably is Cameron Tucker, that's played by Eric Stonestreet. Yeah, he plays he plays the flamboyant gay man very well. It's yeah, great jokes of him, and yeah, and that actor, he's not even gay. That's what's fantastic about it. He played it so well. Yeah, yeah, and I like that they weren't such stereotypical gays. Like they were regular people. You didn't think of them as a certain archetype. Yeah, I like that about them. Yeah, so yeah, we've got the whole family in here, and part of what impresses me about the show is that it was so funny with so many characters. Like ideally, when it comes to a show like this, it tends to be 6 or fewer characters, but they did a whole lot with let's see, let me count the core characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Yeah. Yeah, like I'd say 12 core characters in there. So, wow, that's quite a lot. Yes. And they were all funny. Like you didn't forget anyone anywhere along the line. It worked with all of them. See? Uh yeah, one negative I'll say about this show is it lost it towards the end. Like it's not that they ran out of jokes so much as I just didn't like some of the directions they went in. Most notably, Haley ending up with Dylan instead of Andy. Like that to anyone that watched that series, like her romance with Andy felt so much more natural and just better than her romance with Dylan. Like it showed like it was the comeuppance on like how the things you're attracted to about other people can sometimes change as you age. Like it was showing Haley's maturity, but then like she went back on it, it ended up with the guy from the beginning, that idiot. Yeah, so yeah, I did not like that. Yeah, and I have a great idea for a way that the story could have been drastically different for some of the characters in this show that yeah, hopefully I'll talk about you know what? I'll do it now. I'm probably not gonna get a chance to later. So I'll yeah, like eventually I'll do some sort of podcast episode about ideas I've had for other like for shows. But yeah, we'll do this one now because it's on my mind. So my idea for a modern family storyline is Claire finds a positive pregnancy test in the girl's bathroom. And she, of course, assumes it's Haley's, the usual Claire routine of, oh, my daughter's making stupid decisions. I don't want her to end up like, in a ditch somewhere. Like, yeah, and, it's also about herself, decisions that she made as a little girl. Yeah, so yeah, there's that, and then she spends the whole episode trying to get Haley to fess up, trying to get her to own she screwed up. She did the exact thing that they were always trying to make sure she didn't do. Made this life changing mistake, and at the end of the episode, she finally just confronts Haley directly, but Haley just looks confused, continues to deny, like, I don't know what this is. I'm not pregnant. Then Alex interjects, like, enters the scene with holding back tears and confesses it's hers. She is pregnant. Like I love that idea because it's a brilliant play on the Modern Family. Alex is always grilling Haley for her decisions, up from when they were kids to now to then Alex progresses to high school. Yeah, and she's you see them age. It's part of the show, and yeah, like it's a nice comeuppance on that anyone's capable of making a mistake. Alex had this idea that she was the smart one, that and her sister's an idiot, but anyone's capable of making a life-altering mistake. And yeah, we're all capable of screwing up. So yeah, that was an idea I really liked for this show, but no, I guess whoever was writing it didn't think of anything like that. So yeah, it is what it is. That I love the first few seasons of that show, and yeah, they're legendary humor in there. Number 6 is Everybody Loves Raymond. Now, this show would always make me laugh. Like my parents would have it on before dinner when I was a kid, and it would always make me laugh. I look forward to it. Yeah, so yeah, jokes of this family dynamic just brilliantly constructed. You got your overbearing mother across the street. That again, the overbearing mom's the best character again. That's she's played by Doris Roberts, and yeah, I love that character because it's like she's mentally ill almost, like that she's unable to see just how impossible she could be at times. Like why of course Deborah finds her so annoying. Like who would want to put up with this? But it's funny. It's funny, and Deborah does enough that to make you to make you not like feel that sorry for her. You know what I mean? Like there's enough bad that Deborah does that you're not overly empathetic towards her because she has to deal with this lady. Yes, that was key to making that joke work. And yeah, there was a bit of an emotional element in there with Robert's character. Really, it was interesting to see the vision change for him beyond like the first season. Like at first they intended him as very weird. Like like you might think of him as like maybe even someone like with a social disability, like maybe he has Asperger's syndrome. But then they sort of adjusted that to like, no, like he's not disabled in some way, but yeah, there are things that make him weird. Yeah, and it's not all his fault. Part of it was him being raised by this woman who for whatever reason just seems to like the other child better. Yes, and it yeah, the jokes with it are funny. Like I remember the shot of when Raymond gets Frank that fish tank, like, and he's looking through it, and Frank moves, and through the fish tank, you see Robert there holding his present for his dad. Like, oh no, I got comeuppance to it. Yeah, it was. That's a good shot. Yeah, a lot of funny is directing. Like that's good directing right there. Gotta make that funny. Right. And yeah, so that emotional element was there with Robert, but it wasn't too much. It was the appropriate level for the show. Yeah, that it ended up working. Yeah, so yeah, hilarious show that yeah, those people make me laugh. But Frank is a great character too. Like this to yeah, the old guy who does not care. He's will be mean and he does not care. Yeah, that was funny. So again, similar to what I said about the Goldbergs here, is it could be sort of repetitive. It's similar jokes over and over, like between Deborah and Marie, like their difficulties getting along, the dad just being mean. Uh, like it got a little repetitive, not as much so as it really did with the Goldbergs, but yeah, it was there. But you know what? It was still funny every time. There's not a single bad episode of Raymond. Uh, yeah, that's why it's number 6 on my list. Love that show. For a fifth spot, we've got It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So this show to me is laugh out loud funny. I laughed so freaking hard every time I see this wonderful show come on. Yeah, and I'd say of every show on the list, this is the one that deserves the most credit for originality. Like something like this, they call it a show about bad people doing bad things, which really is a fair description. To really get it, you have to watch it. But yeah, it's so original. It hasn't been done before. When you look at it through a critical lens, you do see that it kind of resembles the Seinfeld model, but you'd never think of it as the same show. No siree, that it is its own thing. And it's one of a select few shows that really manages to be very, very funny without any emotional investment from the audience whatsoever. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely the harder thing to execute, doing it without any emotional investment as opposed to having those elements in there. Like because there's funny and there's jokes to be told about things like a romance or yeah, like having some sort of friend drama, but this show doesn't need any of that. It's not common the show pulls that off. I'd say Seinfeld, Sunny, and there's another show we're going to talk about. I won't spoil it just yet, though. Yeah, I don't want to spoil all the shows, but yeah, it's really only a select few shows that pull it off. Like a show that I think guess sort of tried it, but it just didn't make me laugh so much as Arrested Development. Like it was an okay show. I had a few laughs, but not every episode. And it's not nearly as funny as the other shows in this list. Yeah, it's just an okay show. And yeah, they didn't pull it off. It did not make me laugh nearly as much as I really needed to for it to be on this list. Yeah, so back to Sunny. So the only reason this show isn't higher is because it's the most niche out of all these shows. Like you definitely need to be like of a certain generation and to be okay with a certain degree of humor. It's rough for yeah for someone that grew up maybe in the 40s and 50s. It's rough, like something you'd never say growing up in a time period like that. But yeah, like if you like it, you love it. Like yeah, if you could deal with it, you just love the show. It makes you laugh so hard. But sadly, I was disappointed with the last season they just put out. It just didn't make me laugh as much as the previous seasons did. And they had such a good run, like so many terrific seasons in there that just laugh out loud funny every episode. And this last season, it just wasn't there for me. Maybe it was for some other people. I don't know. And part of that is Danny DeVito is gradually in it less and less. That's largely if yeah, because he's so huge now and he's an older guy now. Like so yeah, I think you need to wonder what happens if Danny leaves the show eventually. Yeah, and really the whole cast is getting older. Like I feel like the whole concept of the people owning a bar is gonna lose its charm when they're like when you can't see them as people, like 30s or 40s anymore. Like it's gonna start to seem sad. Like you're not gonna be able to look through that it's sad that these people in their 50s or or like are still doing this crap. And if they're gonna be without Danny DeVito, like yeah, I guess yeah, one thing they could do is honestly what they could all just retire and pass the show on to like clones of the same character. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, nevertheless, I love this show. It is fifth on my list, and honestly, it might be my personal favorite of all these shows. Number four is The Office. So this show dawned in the age of the mockumentary. It was followed by shows like Modern Family, Parks and Rec, yeah, things like that, and it worked. It worked for a while. Yeah, it's not really so popular now, but yeah, for a while that was a funny way to do a show. You could have those cutaway moments where you're interviewing one of the characters to get some scoop, and that also made it a bit easier, I think, to write when you could use things like that. So yeah, it's something that I could see coming back eventually. There will be a wave of it again, but yeah, it's just not huge right now. So yeah, again, great cast. Steve Carell is Michael Scott, of course, brilliant. And there's let's see, let's get more cast here. Yeah, it's on my phone. Just log in. Yep. Yeah, Steve Carell is Michael Scott, of course, like I said. Rainn Wilson is Dwight. Yeah, Dwight was a fan favorite character. He's so well executed and well played too. Yeah. See, John Krasinski as Jim, Jim and Pam, one of the best romances of any show because it felt real. Like I feel like doing it in that mockumentary style and having them as mainly, the straight characters, the guys that set up the funny people. Yeah, that made them feel real compared to the other characters, made you root for their real romance. Yeah, well executed. Yeah, Pam was Jenna Fisher played Pam. Yeah, yeah, great cast all around. See, even the minor characters are pretty good. Like Phyllis Smith is just as Phyllis. Yeah, loved her. See, and Brian Baumgartner as Kevin. I love Kevin. Uh, yeah, great jokes of Kevin. And again, like, yeah, this show managed to do a whole lot with a lot of characters. Yeah, it was rare that you felt someone was being left out, and yeah, that could be hard to pull off. I think. Yeah, so yeah, hilarious show. There's a lot of people that can recite nearly every line of it, and yeah, yeah, love The Office. But the thing is, it got a lot worse when Steve Carell left. Like they kind of needed that character to carry it, and everyone kind of knew, like, oh no, Steve Carell's leaving. Like, it took a dive. For a while, like they still managed to get some good jokes in there, but it wasn't the same, and everyone knew it. So they had to call it quits eventually. When they finished all the stories, eventually wrapped it up, and that was that. But that show had a fantastic run, legendary humor right there. I remember from when I was a bit of a younger man, there was a period of time when like Tinder was new that like you couldn't go swiping without seeing at least five like references to The Office in everyone's profile. Yeah, for some reason, yeah, that was a big thing to put on Tinder, like your favorite Office line or something. And yeah, it was that for some reason, a lot of people, yeah, had themselves in the Kiss makeup, which I thought was an interesting choice because I actually am a big Kiss fan, so that's why I knew what it was. I'm like, why do people that don't even like their music like always put these, themselves of the Gene Simmons face makeup in their Tinders? It was weird to me, but yeah, that's that's what comes to mind for me about The Office. Everyone's those old Tinder profiles. In third place, as we're nearing the top, we've got Curb Your Enthusiasm. So Larry David, fantastic character. I'd say this show and Always Sunny are the two shows on this list that make me laugh the most. Yeah, so Curb. Let's see. You got Larry playing this repugnant yet relatable character. That's it's a combination destined for success because you can always see yourself as Larry. Yeah, you have those even when you're not in it as much as he is, of course, but you've everyone's had a moment that they were like Larry, that there was logic in something in some social nuance that you were seeing, but no one else was seeing, and everyone was looking at you like you're crazy or a jerk for it. Yeah, I certainly have felt that. Yeah, it's like yeah, like some fantastic jokes and relatable situations, like when Richard Lewis is always wanting to pay for their lunch and he's willing to go to such lengths to get it done. Yeah, I have a friend like that. Yeah, yeah, I love that joke. And I think when their jokes aren't that funny, it's usually because that element of relatability is lacking a bit. Like, say, with Larry thinking it's his golf club in Funkhauser's dad's coffin. Like, how self centered do you have to be to think that somehow your golf club has ended up in some man's coffin just because it looks like yours? Like that, yeah, you lost that element there, and that joke didn't land as well as some of the other ones. Yeah. Yeah, but man, this show makes me laugh. I didn't really like the last season so much because you could tell that Larry was just kind of out of jokes. Like he had done it all. Just all there is to do with that character. But I think there's a lot of potential if the production company were to like use this model and like do a show like this, but with young people instead of an old bald guy. You could sort of do it a little differently that way. But yeah, there's a lot of situations like that I know, like in my experience, I've been in that could work in a show like that. Yeah, with a younger person, not with an old dude. Because yeah, because of how the world has changed. But yeah, hopefully a studio will figure something out there, and we'll get another Curb. Love that. In second place, we've got Friends. So this is maybe the most massively appealing of all the shows here. I can't think of a person who wouldn't like Friends. Come on, like it's Friends. It's six people, six believable people telling jokes, living life in the glory days. I it I'd say it's exactly what a young adult group of friends hopes to be. When you're meeting people, living in apartments, following maybe your college days, it's exactly what you're hoping to find, a clique like that. Yeah. Hopefully that's what I'll find when I eventually move out of this place. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, of course, laugh out loud funny, and the cast was so passionate about the show and about their characters, and you see it in their performances. Their delivery is so masterful, and that's what makes it so rewatchable. Is they delivered every joke, every line so well. It was so well written too. Good situations, all yeah, awesome jokes. I'd say Ross is probably my favorite character. I think he's who I relate to the most. Yeah, this I love like the sandwich joke. I've been watching clips of recently, like someone ate my sandwich. Chandler going, "What the police say?" Yeah, it cracks me up. Yeah, this is how he obsesses over things that seem like they don't matter, but they do. They do. Yeah, yeah. Like I watched the reunion for that show, and I just talked about it, and they really cemented. Yeah, like casting was key, and they're so right about that. Like particularly the character of Rachel. I remember them really talking about Jennifer Aniston as Rachel because if you have an actress that comes across a bit more it's a word I don't want to say in the podcast, so it's a different word for it. Yes. It's sort of jerky. Yeah, it's just coming across sort of jerky, then you don't like Rachel. Like she needs to be light enough and relatable enough that you don't dislike the character because how are you introduced to her? She flees her wedding. Yeah, leaves someone at the altar. Yeah, and she's this very self-absorbed kind of person, So Jennifer Aniston delivering that just right was key to executing that character. As if it were some more, what's a good, who were like Megan Fox per se, then you wouldn't like that character. You'd see her as a diva. Yeah. So yeah, like they, yeah, key casting right there. Great characters, good number of characters. Like that number of six really worked. Yeah, went on a good long while. Good drama elements too. You rooted for the romances. Yeah, you rooted for each character individually too. Yeah, I love that show. Yeah, think I might just rewatch some clips of that when I'm done here. Yeah, that's fun. So, what is the greatest sitcom of all time? Well, my friends, as you might have guessed, it is Seinfeld. It just works anytime, anywhere, for anyone. Like that, once again, it's a show with no emotional investment, really was the pioneer of this. Yeah, which has pros and cons, like, but you know what? It's hard to execute, and they did it. Yeah, it's freaking Seinfeld and Larry David pulled it off. There's no emotional investment from the audience, and it's laugh out loud funny, right? Uh, yeah, it did a lot with not that many characters, just four main characters, and kept it going for a really long time. And you never really noticed beyond like they were figuring it out a little bit in the first season, but beyond that, it just felt steady, like the same show for the remainder of it. Even when Larry David eventually left and didn't do the last few seasons, it didn't really feel that different. It was the same show and was still funny. Yeah, brilliant characters, perfect stories for them all. And yeah, it's fun. Every episode makes me laugh. Yeah, it's funny to imagine yourself living it as a character in the Seinfeld verse. And what's interesting is I think this show's greatest asset is actually its forgettability. Like I'm rewatching it right now, and of course I remember the big jokes, your puffy shirt, your I choose not to run. Yeah, that kind of thing. But there's also a lot of little ones where I don't remember all the nuances. I remember the general gist, but not every single line, and it still rings funny. That's what makes this so infinitely rewatchable. Like you don't remember every single little thing. So every time it's almost like you're seeing it for the first time again. And it's funny every time. It just works. Brilliantly executed show. There's really nothing like it. It's massively appealing. It by all by all by all means, it is the greatest sitcom of all time. So congratulations, Seinfeld. Woohoo. Yeah, you're number one on my list. Well, that's a wrap for this episode, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Those are my top 10 sitcoms all time. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch some of those shows now. Do you agree with what I said? Do you think something should be higher or lower on the list than it is? Do you think there are certain shows that should be on here that aren't? That yeah, if so, what shows would you bump? Give me your takes. I'm interested in them. Yeah, so yep, if you're watching the Nerd News podcast, I'm your man Rosie, and peace out. I'll see you next time.